Welcome back to CBS Mornings, now at 7:30. And as the war in Ukraine grinds on, the government in Kyiv is accusing Russia of a truly heinous crime, kidnapping thousands of children and taking them into Russian-controlled territory. Ukraine says Russia is trying to force the children to become Russian. Chris Livesay has the extraordinary story now of two young boys who, after being rescued, were brought back to Ukraine.
Their music is Ukrainian. Their clothes are Ukrainian. But Maxim and Ivan were almost forced to become Russian. Russian forces took us away, says 16-year-old Ivan. He and 15-year-old Maxim were living in an orphanage in Mariupol when Russia invaded. The boys tried to flee, but say they were captured by Russian forces and held with 20 other children, some as young as 8.
Were you afraid that you would never come home?
I had such thoughts, yes. Ukraine says Russia is systematically stealing their children and stripping them of their identities.
Russia continues its kidnapping of Ukrainian children. After forcible transfer to Russia, they are illegally adopted by Russian citizens.
Russian TV says they're saving them instead. Here's Russia's Children's Rights Commissioner telling Vladimir Putin that Russian citizens have big hearts and are lining up to take the children. Very good, he says, vowing to eliminate any delays. It's cynical propaganda, says Ukrainian Vice Prime Minister Irina Vereshchuk.
We're talking about children whose parents have possibly been killed by Russians, and now these children are in Russia. As a Ukrainian and as a mother, how does this make you feel?
It's very hard, she says. It's my destiny to bring them home. And she's doing it, one by one, helping relatives and guardians track down their children and negotiating their return, many with unfathomable trauma. One 12-year-old girl had to dig a hole to bury her mother. They tried to bury her brother too, but his corpse was too heavy for them to drag. I've seen small children whose hair has turned white. Yet such children like Ivan and Maxim are the lucky ones who have escaped, thanks to Anton, their guardian from the orphanage in Mariupol. I could not leave them behind, he says. Saving them meant crossing into enemy territory, not through the deadly front line, but through Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, and Russia. 70 hours of travel by bus. He arrived just before dawn. I was still sleeping, says Maxim. When I saw Anton, I hugged him. I was so happy. We had not seen each other for so long. After more than 2 months in captivity, they're now back in Ukraine. Ivan messages his friend Philip, an abducted Ukrainian orphan like him, but unrescued. He's been sent to an orphanage in Moscow. Do you still want to come home to Ukraine, he texts. It's all the same, Philip responds. Like so many Ukrainian children, he has no one left to come home to. For CBS Mornings, Chris Livesay, Khmelnytsky, Ukraine.
Jeez. Boy, that's just trauma on top of trauma. First, you're without your parents, and then you're ripped away from people that you know and love that could possibly take care of you.
And then your identity stripped away.
Yeah. You don't need a UN convention to tell you that's wrong.
That's right.
And it appears to just be the way Russia fights wars these days.
Wrong on so many levels, Tony.